Want to bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. Football continues. World Series happening very soon. And of course, hockey season. You can bet pregame, live and play, or one of our many prop bets, which Jesse is looking at right now. One of the many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction is easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. The Flames have never had a better start in franchise history.
Which is encouraging for the current team and also befuddling because they've been around for a long time.
And they've had some incredible teams. Like you think about the late 80s Flames, there's like 5 or 6 Hall of Famers on them.
The team that they won the cup with is one of my favorite, like just teams from an IMDb, Hockey DB perspective because they weren't all the sum of their career as Flames.
Yeah, they went on to do better things elsewhere.
Right, but the amount of guys they had who were like stellar superstars as rookies in their prime and at the end of their career, it's an amazing collection of guys.
Yeah, it's the perfect young guy / veteran team.
Lanny McDonald, Joe Nieuwendyk.
And Doug Gilmour is your second line center.
And they didn't have Brett Hull, but they did a Theoren Fleury.
Yeah. And they could have had Brett Hull had they not traded him for nothing.
Al McInnes, Mike Vernon. Yeah, they were unreal.
Stacked. But Nazem Kadri's already got 4 goals. Leaf fans are already upset about it on Twitter. I'm seeing them. Oh, we never should have traded him. Okay.
Guys, that was 2 teams ago. Fuck.
The Flames top line of Huberdeau, Lindholm, and Toffoli has not scored a 5-on-5 goal. However, their power play is running at 30%. And I had a look. The team PDO, which is essentially luck, is 100.6.
Is that?
And PDO even is 100.
Oh.
So this team isn't lucky. They're good. Like that's the part for me. I was like, oh, like PDO is a bit of an older advanced stat, but essentially it goes like if you're like at a 102 or a 103. I think there was a season where the Coyote or the Avalanche were like at a 106 where they were amazing and then lost in the first round, and I think they finished last the next year. PDO kind of measures like how much, are pucks going in more than they probably should.
Can I ask a fantasy question?
Sure.
Yesterday, I was offered. I have Kirill Kaprizov, and I was offered Jonathan Huberdeau. Straight up. I rejected it.
Ooh, it's a tough one. I would say Kaprizov. I would keep Kaprizov because here's the thing. Like Huberdeau set records last year.
Yes.
But he's a function of, he's a part of that system in Calgary, whereas Kaprizov is the system.
And goals are worth more than points.
Kaprizov.
Yeah.
Huberdeau is a great player.
Also, Huberdeau has like 8 shots on goal, which is maybe a little concerning.
That's less than you'd think.
Yeah, Kaprizov has something in the 20s.
I was trying to pull up Kaprizov's stats because you mentioning his shots on goal. You said Huberdeau has 8 on the season.
I think so.
Versus Vancouver 2 games ago, Kaprizov had 7.
Holy shit!
In the game.
That's Vancouver.
Vancouver. Whatever.
He got the OT winner. This is one of the most shambolic OT winners I've ever seen from a team perspective. You have 2 Canucks down on the ice. You have JT Miller staring at the thing. You have Darcy Kemper not even facing the right way. And that wasn't even their most recent loss.
Nope.
Shambolic.
So it's the Calgary Flames. I think of the picks I've made thus far, like in our season preview episodes, I feel the best about the Calgary Flames. I feel like I made a good choice there.
Did I say Darcy Kemper just now? Or Thatcher Demko?
You said Darcy Kemper instead of Demko.
Yeah,
Demko.
You meant Demko.
You see my focus?
It's okay.
No.
It's okay.
Hocus pocus, there's pizza on your focus.
Before we get to the, I want to talk about the Coyotes, but we do need to talk about the Vancouver Canucks. We said, listen, they got to win tonight on Monday, but it's against Carolina. It's a tough out.
And they said, oh yeah.
Tomorrow is against the Seattle Kraken. If the Vancouver Canucks can't beat the team that stole their colors,
stole half their damn fan base.
That's literally a 20-minute drive away. It's
Is
not
it?
really. No, it's not.
Oh.
But they're pretty close. If they can't beat the Kraken, you still can't tell me that firing Bruce Boudreau is the right thing. And I heard CJ talking about it on the CJ show. He's like, and I forgot about this. Obviously, this would be their 3rd coach in a calendar year because Travis Green, Bruce Boudreau, and then they'd have to pay them both. Because
Yeah,
Boudreaux and Green are both under contract.
They're
right now.
paying Green for like 3 years or whatever.
Ooh. And
Yeah.
if they don't beat the Kraken, guess who's waiting for them the next night?
Oh, it's a back-to-back.
Pittsburgh.
Oh, woo! Woo! Oh my God.
Yuck.
Now I've heard poor Kaya on Game Over Vancouver just had an absolute meltdown after the game.
She's a legend.
She was amazing. You should go check.
Sympathy, I want a cup!
And I think that sums up what it's like to be a Vancouver Canucks fan. They've had so many close calls, and really, this team for 8 years, and CJ and Julian touched on this too, has refused to rebuild. Oh, we don't need to do that. We're going to retool. We're going to retool. We're going to retool. We're going to retool. They're not any better than they've ever been for most of the past decade.
And
We
yet
started
they
this
should be
show.
in a playoff spot right now.
We started this show though making fun of Mike Gillis.
Dude,
That's when we started this show.
one of my best and most my Nostradamus rants, I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
One of my best predictor rants was not filmed. And I wish badly it was.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean?
I was drinking in my buddy's basement. His cousin was visiting from out west.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Tanner. No, not Tanner Pearson, but he is a Canucks fan. And he's like, what do you think's going to happen with this team? And this, I want to say this is just after they lost to the Kings
Mm-hmm.
in 2012. And I said, they're going to double down on this group. They're going to be mediocre as hell. But they're just going to keep cruising downward. And they're going to do exactly what the early 2000s Leafs did. And they just kept trying to keep the band together, keep it together. And by the time they tried anything different, it was too late. And now they're a decade deep on this thing. And they've had some bright spots. They have. And they've drafted well. And like they've done a bunch of things pretty well. And
the Pettersson line looks good.
Here they are.
We like that.
Here they should be in a playoff spot right now. Like you take those 4 games at the beginning of the season and you win 2 of them outright, you're in a playoff spot. You should be able to hold on to one of those leads, for God's sake.
Since this podcast started, 13-14 is when this podcast started. Okay. We started at the end of 12-13, but that's when they lost in the conference quarterfinals. The next year, they didn't qualify for the playoffs. The next year, they lost in the first round. The next 4 years, they didn't qualify. The next time they got into the playoffs was the hockey bubble, where they won the qualifying round. They won the first round and then lost to the Golden Knights in Game 7.
In a series,
What a crazy series.
They weren't in for a moment.
No.
Not a moment.
No, but Thatcher Demko.
Thatcher Demko,
Right?
baby.
And the last 2 years, they have not qualified again. So, in real qualifying terms, over the course of this show, which will be a decade old on May 31st, 2023, the Vancouver Canucks have qualified for the playoffs cleanly once. You can understand why Canucks fans are upset. I get it. And what I don't get is the reluctance to just rebuild it.
See,
you have the No. Don't.
I didn't think this was coming. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think this was coming.
I'm not talking about strip it like the Sabres did because they did it wrong.
Right.
But trade your good players for good young players and rebuild.
Their best players are young.
Yeah.
Like
you're not trading Pettersson.
Horvat,
to me,
JT Miller.
It's those two.
Yeah. Trade them.
It's those two, and I think you trade one of them.
And what are you going to do about Oliver Ekman-Larsson? No one's ever taking that.
Right. So you eat it.
You just got to eat it.
You eat that.
Tyler Myers, $6 million.
You deal with that. Dude, getting Tyler Myers back would be a boon for their
defense.
Do you have their decor? I didn't realize how bad it was.
I'll pull it up.
On Daily Face.
Because Hughes is off.
Holy mackerel.
Hughes is...
and without Hughes, it's...
I mean... They can't get the puck up, right?
But he's not a closer either. Like he's not a guy you trust to shut down games.
Right.
Like last year was really eye-opening for me watching Kel McCarr.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember we thought the gap between those two was tiny?
It's
fucking
huge.
OEL, Myers, Rathbone, Burrows, Brisebois, Jen.
Dude, that's horrendous.
Not great.
That's horrendous. Ekman Larson, Myers, I don't know if like both of those players don't make a lot of teams in the NHL. And that's your top pair. There's Rathbone, Burrows. Okay, sure. And then Brisebois, Shen. Like Shen should maybe be getting more ice time, man.
Is it optimal that a guy like Ilya Mikheyev is a top line left winger?
How's he been?
Well, I know he was injured, so I feel like we got to grade him on a curve. You know, like
He was legitimately fantastic last year.
with the Leafs. Yeah,
And
he figured out how to score.
Yeah, he earned every dollar of his contract. He started to bury those chances that he couldn't bury in previous years.
4 games, 1 point, -2. 3 shots.
Like, 3 shots and goal.
That's it.
And he's starting on his back foot because of the injury. But I look at
I mean,
they're a good team. Except for the decoy.
He had 21 goals last year, but you gave $4 million to a player that has never played a full season, and $4 million each year for 4 years to a player that's never played a full season, and his career high in points is 32.
But at the end of the day, it comes down to their best guys. And their best guys haven't been their best guys outside of Pettersson. Miller had 2 goals the other night, but that's after getting yelled at by his own defenseman.
Yeah.
Demko, like, what do you do? Do you strap him to the goalpost like Millhouse?
I wondered too, like, sometimes things just get stale. And I think sometimes you just need a trade to mix it up. Like, I'm not saying trade for trade's sake or throw value at the door for no reason, but sometimes you need to do like a 1-for-1 if you can find fair value and go, okay, we need a new voice, or we need something to freshen this up, because on paper, this team should not be this bad. Quinn Hughes being gone sucks.
Mm-hmm. What's the Merrick?
But they shouldn't be winless.
What's the Merrick line? Like, in situations like these, other GMs around the league, they don't throw you life rafts, they throw you anchors. Basically, like, anytime a team ends up in this situation where, like, they got to make a move, and 9 times out of 10 you're losing a move trading from this position, the answer has to come within the room. And if it doesn't, I don't know what you do other than tank for Bedard.